Your whole career fits on a single pixel. You still act like one meeting matters? If you lead people or want to, this will reframe how you think about the job and what it actually is. And it starts 6 billion kilometers away from your office. February 14th, 1990, Voyager 1 had just passed Neptune. On the way out of the solar system, NASA turned the camera around and took one last photograph back home. Earth was a single pixel, 6 billion kilometers away. Carl Sagan called it pale blue dot. I think about that image more than I think about most quarterly numbers, because that dot, that single pixel, is where every fight, every deal we ever lost, every meeting that ran over, every promotion that didn't happen, all of it fits onto that one single pixel. And that perspective should make leadership easier. But most of the time it doesn't. Because most of what we treat as leadership is people trying to look bigger than a pixel. I'm Carsten, this is Carsten Uncut, 25 years in European boardrooms, and I've landed on something I think is true. Most of what makes a leader is not complicated. There's 4 things, and none of them require talent. All of them require a decision. Honesty, competence, calm, and forward thinking. I'll take them one at a time and I'll tell you what most leadership content gets wrong about each. Number 1, honesty. Honesty in leadership is not the absence of lying. It is the presence of the thing that nobody else says in the room. As a meeting anecdote, a deal everyone knew wouldn't close, but nobody said it. The leader's job is to say, we're not going to close this. What do we do now? Polished communication is the most dangerous skill in modern leadership because it makes the absence of honesty sound like wisdom. 2, competence. Most leadership content tells you to be exceptional, be the outlier. I think that's wrong. The best leader I worked for was not only brilliant, he was reliable, predictable, prepared, kept his word. His team didn't burn out. His team didn't quit. His team closed. Reliable beats remarkable. And most leadership content lies about this because nobody wants to read just be consistent. But it's the truth. 3 is calm. I worked in emergency services before I worked in sales. What I learned there, what I've never forgotten, is this. When the room gets bad, the team takes its emotional temperature from the most senior person in the room. In the escalation chain, you panic, they panic. You blame, they blame. I don't mean fake calm. Fake calm is worse than panic, and people smell it. I mean the actual practice of breathing first, speaking second, of what do we do now before we look at whose fault it is. The most underrated leadership skill is the ability to be the steadiest person in a bad meeting. Quick pause. If this is reshaping how you think about leadership, subscribe. 1 new episode every week, no fluff, just the truth from 25 years in European boardrooms, and drop your number in the comments. 1, 2, 3, or 4, whichever of these 4 you find hardest. I read everyone and know back to it. Number 4, forward thinking. Most leadership teams I worked with spent more time on the autopsy than on the next move. The deal that didn't close, the presentation that went wrong, the hire that didn't work. We litigate them endlessly. Here's what I've learned. The autopsy is useful for exactly 1 meeting. After that, it becomes an excuse to avoid the harder questions. What are we going to do next? The leader's job is to set the direction, not to referee the blame. Every hour spent looking backward is an hour not spent on building the next quarter. The best leaders I've worked with do a short honesty brief and then move on. Fast forward while everyone else is still arguing about what went wrong. So, it's 4 things. Honesty, competence, calm, and forward thinking. None of them require genius. None of them require charisma. All of them require a decision you make before you walk into the room. So remember, that pixel, 6 billion kilometers away, every boardroom drama, every political fight, every ego contest, it all happens on that dot. The leaders worth following are the ones who act like they know that. Not because nothing matters, but because only few things do. And those 4 are the ones worth choosing. If you're new here, I'm Carsten. I make 1 video a week on what leadership actually looks like when nobody's performing it. If this one landed, watch and stay tuned for next week. I go deeper why most leadership advice is built for an audience and not a team. See you there.